The IPO lists, you make 90% in a day. 1 year later, you're down to 4%. So, who really made the money? You apply for an IPO. It is oversubscribed 200 times. You get shares allotted. The stock lists at a 90% gain. It feels like you timed it perfectly. But 6 months later, you're down to 4%. And suddenly, that perfect entry does not feel so perfect. Between 2015 and 2025, India saw over 1700 IPOs raise nearly 8 lakh crore rupees. That is massive participation, massive capital, and massive excitement. But here's the uncomfortable question almost nobody asks. Are IPOs adding depth to the market? Or are they increasingly becoming structured exits for early investors while retail absorbs the supply? Let's simplify this. Every IPO has two components. Fresh issue. That money goes into the company. It funds growth, reduces debt, and builds capacity. Offer for sale, also known as OFS. That money goes to existing shareholders, promoters, private equity funds, and foreign investors. Both are legitimate, but the ratio tells you the motive. In 2015, 55% of IPO proceeds came from fresh issues. By 2025, that share dropped to 37%. Flip that. OFS rose from 45% in 2015 to 63% in 2025. The center of gravity has shifted. A growing share of IPO money is not building factories or funding R&D. It is providing liquidity to those who entered earlier. Now let's talk performance. Fresh issue heavy IPOs, where over 70% of proceeds are fresh capital. Median listing gains plus 6.7%. 1 month later, minus 8%. 1 year later, minus 13%. The growth narrative attracts buyers. But once trading begins and execution becomes visible, returns compress. Now, OFS heavy IPOs, where over 70% is offered for sale. Median listing gains plus 11%. 1 month later, minus 4%. 1 year later, minus 10%. Stronger listing gains. Why? Limited free float, tight supply, aggressive early demand. But that early strength does not persist. By 1 year, returns look remarkably similar across structures. Now zoom out further. Almost 3 out of 4 IPOs list with positive returns. By 1 month, that drops to approximately 40%. By 1 year, it stabilizes to nearly 45%. The best day for most IPO investors is the listing day. After that, the probability curve changes. Now subscription ratios. A 200 times subscription sounds like quality. But what does it actually measure? Crowding. IPO subscribe 0 to 50 times show modest listing gains, but more stability. 50 to 200 times show stronger listing day returns, while over 200 times show the best listing day gains. Nearly all of the 200 times plus subscribed IPOs have listed positively. But after 1 year, only about 50% remain in the green. High subscription often signals momentum. Momentum is powerful in the short term, but it rarely guarantees long-term performance. From 2015 to 2025, the purpose mix of IPOs has shifted from growth funding towards exit funding. OFS share rose from 45% to 63% of total proceeds. Listing day pops are common. Sustained outperformance is not. And heavily subscribed IPOs reward speed more than patience. Now the uncomfortable truth. If you're applying to heavily subscribed OFS heavy IPOs, you're often on the opposite side of the trade from promoters, private equity funds, and foreign investors reducing their exposure. They're exiting at high valuations, you're entering at those prices. When the price corrects months later, they've already recycled capital elsewhere. You're holding the narrative. IPOs are not inherently bad. They're essential to market development, but structure matters. The next time you see a heavily subscribed IPO with a strong listing gain, pause and ask, how much of this is a fresh issue? Who is selling? Am I investing in future growth, or am I providing liquidity to past investors? Because understanding the structure matters more than celebrating the subscription number. If this changed how you think about IPOs, share it. And if you participate in primary markets, participate informed. If you learned something new, make sure to subscribe to get more tips on personal finance.